This video is sponsored by TokyoTreat and Sakuraco. What's going on? Jun with the Sushi Man, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to make one of the most comforting Japanese winter dishes, and that is oden. You've probably seen it in Japanese movies or anime, but it's a staple when it comes to cold weather foods. It's available year-round, but it becomes especially popular during this time of the year, because there's nothing quite like a nice hot pot of oden, which will warm your soul like no other. Alright, without further ado, let's jump right in. Now, oden is something that can be made with a variety of ingredients, and there's really no one recipe fits all, and that's the beauty of it. My recipe is pretty traditional, and I use some standard ingredients, but you're more than welcome to swap any of these items according to your preference. That said, this first item is probably the most important, which is this oden set. Japanese and other Asian markets will start carrying these when the season becomes colder, and there's usually a few options to choose from. Now, if you want to get each type of item in here separately, that's totally fine, but I recommend these packs because it makes it much simpler. And depending on the brand, what comes inside might be a little different, but for the most part, they're all pretty similar. Typically, they have a variety of fish cakes called nerimono, and also an instant dashi broth packet like you see in here. Now, you're more than welcome to just use that, but I like to make the dashi from scratch, which not only tastes better, but is healthier as well. And speaking of the dashi, the ingredients we'll need for the broth are some dried kombu, katsuobushi, soy sauce, which I like to use what's called usukuchi shoyu, which is a lighter colored soy sauce that won't darken the soup so much. Don't get it confused with low sodium soy sauce though. It's just a lighter color, but the flavor is just as strong as regular soy sauce. You can usually find it at Asian markets, but if you can't, don't worry, just use the soy sauce of your choice. And then we also have some mirin and a little bit of salt. Now for the rest of the ingredients, I like to put some daikon radish, some carrots, konnyaku, which is this gelatinous yam cake used quite often in Japanese cuisine, some eggs, and then some mini sausages. I like to use Japanese arabiki sausage, which is coarsely ground pork sausage that has a smoky flavor and a very satisfying crunchy texture to it. You can find these at most Asian markets as well. And then usually oden is served with a little bit of Japanese karashi mustard on the side, which of course is optional. And then lastly, some steamed rice on the side if you prefer. Alright, that's it for our ingredients. Now let's move on to our prep. Before we move on though, if you're a fan of Japanese snacks, then I have something exciting for you. TokyoTreat and Sakuraco, which happens to be the sponsor of this video. TokyoTreat is a monthly subscription box that's packed with the latest limited edition seasonal snacks straight from Japan. That means you can't find these here in the States, or anywhere else besides Japan. It also comes with instant ramen and drinks. Sakuraco is also a monthly subscription box that features traditional Japanese snacks that are made from local artisans. So obviously you can't get this stuff anywhere besides Japan either. Each box comes with 20 authentic artisan snacks including Japanese teas and special Japanese tableware. Now that's really cool. Both are delivered straight to your door and have a different theme every month. These are December's boxes, which you could get if you order by December 15th. Alright, now let's see what's inside. Starting with TokyoTreat. Pretty obvious, but December's theme is Very Merry Snackmas. If you've never been to Japan during Christmas time, it's a bit different than it is over here in the States. Here, it's a lot about taking time off and spending quality time with family. Now, of course, Japan has that too, but it's a lot more about couples and kind of revolved around romantic date nights. So if you're single, might not be the best place to be during Christmas. Or maybe it is, I don't know. Anyways, let's see what we have in here. And remember, if you don't know what something is, just look inside this very convenient booklet that tells you everything you need to know about each snack. Alright, now time to try some of this. I'm a sucker for anything sour cream and onion flavors, so definitely gotta try this one. It's called amijaga. Basically, sour cream and onion waffle chips. Itadakimasu. Oh yeah, that's really good. Nice crisp to it. Just enough of that sour cream and onion flavor. Man, this is dangerous. Alright, next let's try something sweet. This one caught my eye. It's called Ghana. Basically a salted butter truffle. Yes. That's really good too. Has like a salted biscuit inside, but then you have that soft, rich chocolate covering. The perfect size too. Alright, now let's move on to our Sakuraco box. This month, the theme is Holidays in Hokkaido. Hokkaido, for those that don't know, is the northernmost island of Japan and is one of my favorite places to visit. It does get very cold during the winter, but they have so many cool winter festivals and snow-packed activities that you can enjoy with the entire family. And not to mention, the food is amazing. Okay, let's check out what's inside. And this is one of my favorite parts, the special tableware that they include every month. Wow, look at that. It's a very pretty dish. You know you're gonna see this in my future videos. Alright, now let's get into some tastings. So we'll start off with the tea like always. This is actually a blended tea using Hokkaido brown rice and Shizuoka green tea. Oh, that's really good. So comforting. Okay, now let me try this. It's a Hokkaido milk manju. Yes. It has this rich milky taste with some sweetness from the inside, which is I think white bean paste. That's really good. Oh yeah, that's a delicious pairing right there. Okay, next let me try one of these. Hokkaido melon cookie. Man, Japanese snacks are always so freaking good. This one's buttery, and it has that hint of melon sweetness, but it's not overly sweet like a lot of snacks in the States. So good. Alright, enough tasting for me. Gotta save some for my wife and son, who are going to be super excited about these. And look at how much they pack into these boxes. You're pretty much getting a private snack tour all around Japan, but in the convenience of your own home. So if you or someone you know is a fan of Japanese snacks, then definitely check out the link below. And don't forget to use my special promo code, the SUSHI MAN, to get $5 off your first order. Thank you so much to TokyoTreat and Sakuraco for sponsoring this video. Alright, now back to our oden. Okay, to start off, we're going to work on our daikon, since we need time to pre-cook it to get that nice, soft, tender texture. So first, we're going to cut this into about 1 inch thick round slices. Then now we're just going to peel the skin. Now we do a little trick here called mentori, which is when we round off the corners of cut vegetables. And we do this by cutting a little bit off this edge all the way around on both sides. Okay, watch. Okay, now one more little pro tip here. It's called kakushibocho, which is when we make small incisions on the surface of ingredients so that it can absorb flavors better and also help them cook more evenly. So we're going to do that for the daikon by cutting a simple cross pattern about 1/4 inch in depth on both sides. Alright, now we're ready to start boiling these. So add the daikon into a pot of cold water and make sure to have enough water in there where the daikon can be fully submerged. Now turn the stove on to medium heat and wait for it to boil. Once it starts to boil, we're going to cook these for about 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, now these are done, so we're going to strain and rinse them to get the scum off. And that is it for our daikon. Now while I was boiling the daikon, I prepped the carrots. So first we'll peel them and then we'll wash them. Now I'm going to cut these diagonally into about 2 to 3 inch pieces. Alright, now for our konnyaku. All we're going to do is cut it down into triangles and then we're going to boil them for a few minutes to get rid of the odor. So depending on the size, you'll cut this into half or thirds or even fourths. And then just cut it diagonally to make triangles. Now we dunk them into a pot of boiling water for about 2 to 3 minutes. And that's it. These are ready to go. Now let's make some hard-boiled eggs by adding them into a pot of water and bringing it to a boil over medium-high heat. And a little tip here is to poke a tiny hole at the bottom using a needle or a paper clip. This helps make it easier to peel after it's done. Once it starts to boil, turn it down to a gentle boil and let it sit for about 10 to 12 minutes. After it's done, we transfer them into some ice water, and once it cools down, we just peel the shells. Alright, on to our oden set. Now, no matter what type of oden set you get, it's going to come with some fried items. And because of that, we want to blanch this in some boiling water for about 20 seconds or so to remove that old oil. This will help prevent the broth from getting too oily and give it a cleaner taste. So boil some water again in a large pot, and once it's boiling, add in all the ingredients from the pack. Take it out after 20 seconds or so and then let it cool. Alright, once it's cooled down, we're going to cut some of these into more bite-sized pieces. And there's really no right or wrong when doing this. Just cut them into roughly a similar size. Whether that's half or quarters, it's really up to you. Alright, that's it for prepping the ingredients. Now we can move on to the broth. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be making my own awase dashi using kombu and katsuobushi. I have a video just on this if you want a more detailed explanation, but it's really simple and I'll show you here as well. First, add 5 cups of water into a large pot. And then add a sheet of dried kombu and turn the heat up to about medium. Once the water is almost to a boil, take out the kombu and set aside. Should take about 8 to 10 minutes or so. Now add in the katsuobushi and wait for it to boil. Once it boils, turn the heat off and then steep the katsuobushi for about 10 minutes. You'll notice the katsuobushi settle to the bottom when it's finished. Now strain this into a pot where we're going to cook the oden. I like to use a donabe, which is a thick Japanese clay pot that retains the heat really well and typically used for dishes like oden and nabe. Okay, now we add in the rest of our broth ingredients. Now give it a quick stir, and our broth is ready to go. Alright, the last thing we're going to do before we start cooking the oden is make our kombu knots. So using the kombu we took out of our dashi, we're going to cut them into about 1-inch wide strips and then tie them into a bow. Now this is optional, and you can just keep them as strips or leave them out completely if you like. It's just a little added detail that not only makes the overall presentation prettier, but it makes it a lot easier to grab with chopsticks as well. But again, totally up to you. So we take the hydrated kombu and then cut it into about 1-inch wide strips. Now we just take a strip and tie it into a knot. Just like that. Alright, that is it for our prep. Now we basically just combine all this together and cook our oden. First we're going to add in the daikon, konnyaku, and eggs into our pot of broth and bring it to a boil over medium-high heat. Once it starts to boil, lower the heat to a low simmer and then cover and cook for about 20 to 30 minutes. After 20 minutes, we're going to add in the rest of our ingredients. Now we cover and let this simmer for another 15 to 20 minutes. Alright, now let's see how it looks. Oh yeah, look at that. Now I'm going to arrange this a little bit, take some photos, and then make a plate. And we are now officially done making our oden. Good job. Now, you can serve it right away. However, oden tastes better after it's sat for a while, and all the ingredients have soaked more of that umami flavor. So a lot of people will make it the day before on purpose, cool it down completely, and then heat it back up again to serve. I usually make a big batch like this and eat it the day of, and then for multiple meals throughout the next few days. Just make sure to keep it in the fridge overnight. And when you heat it back up, put it over low heat and slowly bring it back up to temp, rather than blasting it over high heat, which tends to overcook everything. Alright, time to plate a bowl. And there you have it. Now, oden is usually served as a communal meal where we put this big pot right in the middle of the table and everyone grabs what they want into their own bowls. It's great for families or small get-togethers with friends, especially on a cold winter evening. There's just something so comforting about gathering around a big pot of oden, especially when you pair it with a nice bottle of sake. Try it for yourself this winter. Trust me, you won't regret it. Alright, that's about it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, feel free to leave me any questions or comments below. I'll see you on the next one. ありがとうございます。
いただきます。うん、うまっ。